Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, I'm going to be throwing out a few simple changes, very small things that are easy to do that would radically improve the game experience for everybody. I was inspired to do this video because I was chatting to Deadwood Jedi at the weekend. I got to meet up with him and a lot of the other UK-based content creators. Deadwood's obviously based in the US, in LA. All of the two-letter acronyms, I guess. But he's visiting Europe, so I got to meet up with him. But he had actually met up with PLARIUM and some of the community managers and developers over there. And one of the things that really struck him was actually how much they care about the game. And also how much they listen to content creators. You know, that's something that took me by surprise. I kind of expected them to actually really care about making the game. You know, most game developers will, and they're not into the whole, like, you know, designing the monetization. And some of them are, but most of them aren't. They just want to make a good game, you know? But I was really interested that they listen to community feedback actually quite a lot, and they actually do care about what we have to say. Which, for me, you know, if I was a game dev, I'd always think that's a dangerous concept. But apparently they do it. So let's go in and let me give you some suggestions that I think PLARIUM could do, again, to massively improve the game. Let me start off with something I've mentioned before recently that is more controversial. So we'll start with the controversial one, then we'll go on to some of the easy wins. So controversial one number one is something I am concerned about with stone skin accessories coming into the game, right? Is the stone skin shield, in my opinion, is too strong. Now, you guys know, if you've watched my content, I am pretty much the #1 abuser of stone skin. I use it all the time, so nerfing it really hurts me personally. But I do have to say, I feel like stone skin does not have enough counterplay, right? You got that chance to block removals or steals really limits that counterplay as a viable. Bombs are good against it. But that's kind of it. I know they're adding in HP burn as something that can counter it, but again, it's pretty niche. And if you don't have those things, you kind of just have to ignore stone skin. You can't even break it. And it does seem silly, seeing as the 9 pieces of stone skin is going to make the shield bigger. Of course, everyone, when they see that 9-piece stone skin make the shield bigger, what is the point? It's basically impossible to break the shield. Bombs just one-shot it. It's either you've got one of the things that one-shots the shield, or you can't break the shield at all. So for me, I would like to see stone skin just nerf the shield amount a bit. Either nerf the amount of health. I believe it's 50% of your HP becomes a shield. And then the shield gives you 85% damage reduction as well. So I'd either like to see the damage reduction lowered a bit. That probably makes the most sense. Or lower the size of the shield. I just think there should be more of a counterplay of actually being able to break stone skin. Which at the moment just isn't a thing. So that's a pretty big thing for me. I would like to see change. Like I said, I feel like it's a bit more controversial, but I think it'd be a good direction for the game because it's going to get just even more common than it is now. And it's just frustrating going, well, just have to wait it out. That's just silly. On to a couple of easy wins that I think they should definitely be putting in. 100%, if these are not on the cards, PLARIUM, go get them on the cards right now. Super raids for Minotaur's Labyrinth. Easy one, right? Just go in, spend double the energy, double the rewards, done. So fantastic. Doesn't have to be up all the time. You can run some events. It might be fun to have like a Minotaur's Labyrinth tournament on at the same time, and maybe that tournament could reward you with things like simple things, gems, energy, maybe even a bit of silver, something like that. Just the very, very basic stuff from doing a Minotaur's Labyrinth tournament with super raids on at the same time as just a nice perk for those early game players, something to look forward to and go, okay, there's a break in the fusion, but I can actually go in and time efficiently farm up some masteries and get some extra bits at the same time. That'd be great. I'd also like to see, again, periodic super raids for potion keeps. This is not a huge deal, but again, just a nice thing. Just limit the time in potion keeps, right? Potion keeps are not exactly the most interesting part of gameplay at all. They're very basic, and once you get a bit further into the game, like, you just kind of roll them over. I think just throwing in super raids sometimes makes it a bit more fun, right? Oh, cool, there's super raids on this week in potion keeps. I'm going to go farm some of my potion keeps this week, right? Just makes it a bit more of an event. So again, easy win, make it happen. Next one, I think, is a pretty easy win. The Iron Twins Fortress, let's be honest, receives a lot of negative feedback and has pretty poor rewards. Now, I think making raid up the rewards for this is something that's going to be difficult to convince them to do. They don't like that. But let's keep it simple. Let's make reasonable requests. I think removing the energy cost, this is something that we have heard from players constantly since this came out. I think just pull the trigger, remove the energy cost. And then I would also half the number of keys down to just 3 keys per day. But double the rewards, right? So for half the amount of time, you get the same amount of rewards as you're doing right now and no energy cost. And I think this makes this more doable, something that's more worthwhile engaging in. To be honest, I actually think that this dungeon needs bigger changes than that, but that's sort of beyond the scope of this video, right? The point of this video is quick and easy changes right now that could be implemented, in the next month or two if Plarium really wanted to. I think, yeah, just a small tweak to those. Energy cost and rewards, half the keys, but make them better. Very simple. Another thing that's broader and is probably going to become more of a concern for people once the summon event for Newt kicks off. This is a broader one, but we have seen the cost for fusions go up consistently over the last while. They've consistently been pushing the point requirements higher. I would love to see some of these point requirements pushed back a little bit. I think they've gone too far. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm actually not entirely against some point inflation because compared to when I started the game, they're much harder. But at the same time, you are getting more rewards now than you did before, right? There's more energy, there's more silver, more gems, more of this sort of stuff. You get more stuff than I did when I started. So if you want it to be a bit harder, Plarium, that's okay with me, but I do think you've gone too far. And certainly on the summoning events, it has definitely gone too far recently. We need to pull this stuff back, right? Fusions should be there to engage with earlier players, right? And long-term players, it's not really engaging them to make it harder. It's not that interesting. So I definitely think there's a big mistake being made there, right? If you make fusions too difficult to get into, you've got so many players that just drop out of the game because they go, I can't even complete this fusion. It's too difficult. It's not fun. And they leave. Fusion should be fairly easy to do, relatively easy to do. And yeah, they should give decent rewards and that works just fine. So that's a big concern for me. Next one, right? We do have the clan boss instant complete on keys coming soon, and that is fantastic. I'm really, really looking forward to that. I think implementing that technology in more places would be great. I think the easiest and most obvious one to do, silver keys in Doom Tower, right? You've already beaten the boss. That's what silver keys are about. You've already beaten the boss. Now go farm it up. They've put super raids in for these as well, so you can now do super raids, do it a bit faster. And I mean, that's nice, but let's be honest, it's still a whole bunch of runs every day that you don't need to sit and watch. You're not getting anything extra out of it. You have to fight these bosses again every rotation anyway with your gold keys. At this point, make them instant complete. I think this is the perfect spot to put instant complete in. Once again, just instant complete bosses with your silver keys and save people some time. And you just don't have to think about it. Don't have to worry about it. And yeah, I think that's a simple and straightforward change. This one's okay. This one's a cheeky one. This one's a little bit of a bigger change, right? But fairly simple to implement. I think implementing some sort of permanent summon rush, or maybe even a mini permanent fusion. That would be hard to do with a fusion. I think a mini summon rush that's always there, or maybe a guaranteed champion after 20 void shards. This is permanent for every player. Every new player that joins the game, a guaranteed champion event with 20 shards that stacks with everything else for Cold Heart, okay? I think getting Cold Heart on a new account is just such a good idea now, right? She's so crucial to a lot of the earlier game content. You can build multiple of them as well. I think just giving everyone like a Cold Heart for free after their 20th void shard gives people an impetus to play the game. It's something to look forward to after your 20th void shard. It's going to help you progress. And there is so much content now to progress on. It's not like, we gave out Cold Heart. Well, that invalidates all the content. Certainly not. She is relevant even for hard mode dungeons, right? She's the best rare in the game. But again, you do need multiple of them. and there's hard mode dungeons and stuff now as well. So yeah, I think we're sort of past the point where Cold Heart is like sort of breaking. Like when it was only level 20 dungeons, right? Cold Heart was sort of breaking everything. I think it's fine now to give her away. I know they did a guaranteed event for her before for 7 sacred shards. Not 7 sacred, 7 void shards. On your 7th void shard, you got a guaranteed Cold Heart. That was a limited time event. I'm talking about making it a permanent event. And that's why I'm saying, you know, you could have it be in your 20th void chart. So it's more like a longer term thing. You don't have to pull them all at once. Just slowly build up to it. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Going on to Arena, I'd love to see a few different changes for Arena. They have talked about a bigger rework coming for Tag Arena. So that's something to look forward to. I think in the short term, something they could do, again, is a fairly common theme for me. Half the tokens and double the rewards. Pretty simple, right? It's such a big time sink to come in and do all these battles. Like you get 20 of these battles per day. It takes a really long time to get through it all. Half the tokens, but double the rewards. Save people some time. I'm sure a lot of people don't even use this, or they're just doing what we have here, which is you put in a bunch of no defenses, basically. And speaking of Cold Hearts, right? 3 Cold Hearts, you know? Giving one away for free is fine. Yeah, it's just farming one-man defenses and stuff. It's very silly. At least half the tokens, double the rewards, and save us some time. For live arena, something I would love to see here is to give half of the tokens for winning. So like right now, you get whatever many, these many tokens for a win. But you get nothing for losing. I would love to see you get half of these tokens for losing. So for me in Silver 3 at the moment, if I win, I get 40. If I lose, I would get 20. This is not a huge deal, but it just makes participation more important, right? Which makes it less frustrating, because when everything is tied into winning, it makes losing an incredibly negative experience. And negative experiences, too many of them, are bad. I'm not saying it. It's funny, in game design, a little bit of negative experiences can be good, right? You know, like in terms of shard pulls. It's something they could design the game for. Like you pull your shards, oh, I didn't get anything good this time. Oh, I got a terrible legendary. Those negative experiences makes when you get a good legendary super, super hype, because you know that it could have been a bad one. There's not really too much benefit, though, from having the negativity in the live arena. Losing is still negative enough itself. People want to win. They want to build up champions. So, yeah, I would be giving half for losing. I'd also change this as well. This chest for live arena wins. I would change that to just battles. 35 battles is loads of battles. That's a ton. Okay, that's a whole week of using your daily battles. You do get a refill as well, but it's very time consuming. I think 35 battles is more than enough, right? These chests aren't even that crazy good anyway. So just make it battles, please. And again, just make it more about participation, not strictly about winning. And then a final thing I would love to see in the regular Great Hall, we now have, it's really great. We've got this new chest, which is super cool. What I would love to see is a catch-up thing for newer players. Start adding in these tokens. Add in gold medals as rewards to classic arena tournaments. This is now just a win-win at this point, right? Those gold medals before, for long-term players, were useless because you'd maxed out your Great Hall. What are you going to do with these gold medals? But now you can buy these chests and you can get some like mythical gear out of this stuff. So it's actually pretty all right. So again, that is something I would love to see, giving gold medal rewards for just classic arena tournaments, maybe even some tag arena tournaments, help players catch up with the Great Hall, help them farm these chests a bit easier. Again, I think that's an easy implementation. Just throw them into the reward system, and it makes sense, and it helps people make progress, gives them more to look forward to, removes some of that tedium. And there you go. They are my recommendations. Like I said, I want to keep things simple. I've got a bunch of ideas, of course, that are like more complicated and would actually require a ton of work. I don't think any of the things I suggested, well, maybe a couple of them would require a good bit of work actually, but for the most part, they wouldn't require actually that much work. And it just makes the game better for players in a pretty big way. So yeah, let me know what you think. Are there any other simple changes that you would like to see? Again, the rule here is simple. Like I could go in and say, oh, wouldn't it be great if there was like an auto feed function where you could automatically feed all your 1-star champions, like all your common rank 1 champions, to each other? Brilliant, yes, but I mean, that requires quite a bit of programming, right? That's not an easy change. It's a small thing, really, but it's not an easy thing to implement. Whereas turning on super raids for potion keeps is really, really easy to do. You get me? You get me. Anyway, there we go. Thank you for watching. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.